When God created the universe with the forces from within the letters of his name, Yod He Vav, he transformed the primal fire of pure energy from Shin in the Emesh, the Esternite, with the letter Yod in his name signifying pure will. And a perpetual force emerged that is symbolized as the pillar of light, Yachin, on the tree of life, which set the entire universe into motion and formation. This original motion set all atoms in their course, where they began to congeal and gather together, forming nebulas. Soon the great clouds of gaseous matter began to condense in on themselves as they spun on their own gravity towards a center that increased in ever-growing pressure. Eventually, that pressure became so great that the matter concentrated and it exploded in the creation of countless suns. This explosion added to the perpetual motion of creation, and so on and so forth. In some systems, the explosions relaxed enough for stable stars to form and planets around them. When the planet Earth settled into a stable environment, life formed in an ongoing natural evolutionary occurrence that science is only beginning to fathom. Volcanic thermal pools acted as templates for congealed amino acids to form the first DNA. Then microorganisms, fish, dinosaurs, mammals, birds. Life evolved all the way to the formation of Adam, of humanity. Shin is the primal motivating force that set all things in their motion and towards their universal order. It permeates the evolutionary process of the formation of the stars, planets, and life, taking that motion further into the life of our souls, the primal fire that fuels evolutionary motion. Not only created a womb for our body to develop in, but set in motion from the very beginning the angels and the souls of men. The human soul itself is propelled to enter the flesh through conception at orgasm and be released from that flesh at death. During a lifetime, the soul is propelled by its decisions which set it on its destined path. Then it travels through Eden, the gap between lives, the supernal realm. In this supernal space, where the soul is stripped back to its original motion, naked, tainted by karma formulated from its actions and decisions, it is reorganized into its new nativity, where, judged by its lot, it is born at a particular time where the motions of the planets and the zodiac procure its character and destiny. During life we may attune to the primal fires of Shin that gather our soul into motion and evolution. When we bow our heads down in ablution and prayer and look inside and sense our mind, we also sense all those who have gone before us that came to make us up through the patterns of thought which they encompassed. Ancestral wisdom is found when we touch the ground and feel the earth and dust from which all life came. The line of people who mindfully gathered the wisdom to live upon this good earth left their genes, memes, and guiding wisdom within. All this wisdom gathers and grows like the tree of life. Through each being born along a bloodline, through each nation that rises out of another, through each eon of human history. Shin as the perpetual mind spirit is our ancestral being. It reaches beyond humanity into the animals, into the megafauna, the plants, and beyond into the stardust from which all things came. On a different level, our soul too has walked through many lives in many lifetimes. It too was propelled by Shin from the Emish, taken by the power of will within Yod Atzilut, conceptualized and envisioned along the intelligent design of creation. There are indeed many interwoven lines of creation, propelled from Ein Sof before time, matter, the stars, the sun, the planets, all part of a cosmic condensation and spiral dance. The souls were propelled in their etheric substance, which is more subtle and permeating than dense matter. Souls contain the memory of lives and beings along lines of reincarnation. They are packages of God's creative impetus, formed as a unit by Yod He Vav. The angels are similar in that they too are packages of God's consciousness, motioned into their purposeful continuum to guide the souls of men and the process of creation. They were originally not meant to take on flesh, but to guide mankind through the ether, God's breath, His Ruach. Shin is the primal fire, the Big Bang, the cosmic fuel for the propulsion of creation that set all things and beings into motion in the primal dance. This explosive momentum also created a sound, a rhythm to which this cosmic dance ensues. Rhythm motivates the soul, and dance is the primary ablution through which we attune towards the undercurrent of creation and its force of momentum, Shin. Shin animates the universe, and all spirits dance in its current. One may let go and flow with the continuum of Shin's force. To do so holds no more conscious responsibility than a comet hurling through the universe. But to those beings who bow their heads, acknowledge Shin, and revere God in its light, they may gain the power through choice to evolve. For the cosmic momentum flies along a path that is inevitably circular. Even God's breath has an orbit of destiny which returns unto itself. It is the medium of reverence and the awakening to consciousness that hooks the soul into the motion back towards the divine. Without this respect that acknowledges divinity and life and matter, we would continually be swept along, hurled by Shin's primal motions through an unconscious realm of ignorance. Shin submits between Hod, mind, and Malkut, guiding sense. Thus the ancestors come to us as we sensitize our mind to the sacred. With our mind in the earth, we may dance with the Shekhinah. We may sing her praises to the music of the spheres, the Sephirot. If we walk with awe, like we are looking at creation for the first time, God's light is revealed beneath all things. Like a light leading us into a cave of the earth, all formations are revealed. Our occult sensibilities see meaning in all actions and learn to walk in the motion that awakens the soul to the Ein Sof awe. It becomes our beacon towards transfiguration. And so Shin, as the primal motivating force for the fall, the descent of creation, to make the earth and all life upon her, may also be hooked into as a light that lifts the soul back towards the Creator in an ascent of conscious, spiritual, spiraling evolution. Like the flame that lifts an air balloon, we rise. The fire element signified by Shin is ruled by the Greek god Prometheus, who gave fire and technology in general to mankind to spur the onset of civilization and social evolution. Through this gift he animated man's spirit. The way we use this inner technology of creative intelligence, though, suffers consequences according to the manner in which it is used. But ultimately, it is a force of progression. All forms of mysticism in their awareness of the sacred become aware of this motion and seek benefit from it in the return to the divine being. All mystics perform regular rituals to remain in constant motion with Shin. For when the soul rises on the light of the earth fire of Shin, it touches the divine at times in the experience of Atzilut, in timeless moments, and Shin then sits as a crown above the head, as the state of awakening. This crown is adorned by 3 yods on the letter Shin. These 3 yods are the Ayin. the Ein Sof, and the Ein Sof Or. And the 3 lines of Shin represent Chokmah, Binah, and Dat. And so light burns at both ends. It is the light of Shin from Emesh that propelled the universe in Bria in the first place, and then it is the light from the earth flame, the fuel of the Nefesh, or vital astral body, in the act of worship that is harnessed by those who revere the sacred to rise back towards the divine and towards unity within the soul, the Yechidah. Thus, through our worship and ablutions, our sacrifices and offerings, does the primal flame of Shin elevate the soul towards the divine. It is the fire that fuels the rising of the Kundalini through all the paths upon the tree to unite as the jewels in the crown of Keter. The symbolism of this is clear. Souls caught in the creative fall of Bria must be subject to birth, suffering, and death. Those who redeem their souls with ablution and acts of karmic resolution, with tikkun, the rectification, are released from the hellish suffering of existence. Heaven in Yetzirah liberates the soul. The ecstasy of Bria allows one to swim in the light and cradle of one's creative essence. And the light of Atzilut may illuminate or annihilate the soul to be at one with all things in Keter. The planet associated with Shin is Pluto, or Pluton, which means wealthy, otherwise known as Hell, or Hades, which means the unseen. Hades is the god of the dead and the king of the underworld. Hades is the god of jewels and things that shine in the dark. Hades, master of the fates, was regarded as passive and never considered negative in ancient Greece, but a keeper of the balance. Gloomy Hades enriches himself with people's sighs and tears, it is said. When the Greeks sought his favour, they banged their hands on the ground and averted their faces. He grants the ability to extract the jewels of holiness in the events of life, as the lights of wisdom and understanding. He is the god of the soil, who abducted Persephone, the goddess of spring and fertility, to make the soil fertile for growth. This abduction myth was the center of the most holy rite of the Eleusinian mysteries, to which the holy sacrament ambrosia was drunk, allowing the people to meet and interact with the gods on an inward journey. This mythic journey also metaphored the seasons. While Persephone is in the underworld with Hades, all the world turns to winter, and in spring she returns to the overworld. Hades is also associated with hell, where the wicked souls burn for all eternity. The word hell comes from the Norse version of Persephone, the goddess of the underworld. The hell of our life is caused by the weight attributed to karma amassed by negative actions. Evil draws the soul downwards into Hades at the base of the black pillar, through the roots of the tree of life into the tree of death, governed by the klipot. To enter the underworld of Hades is to revere the power of the earth, as an aspect of the Shekhinah, as hell or Persephone, and to be in awe at the splendor of its wealth. Just as wealth buys a good, clean life, the jewels of Shin within the soul are the flames of wisdom that make the fire of our spirit. Any who pass through harsh or severe times connect to the pillar of severity along Shin. It is said religious people fear going to hell, and spiritual people have already been there. For to renounce your sins or degenerative motivations and follow a redemptive path comes with the awareness of all your actions and their consequences, and whether they procure suffering or bring liberation to the self and to others. The fates condemn us on dark paths that are fixed by our sins, but by our free and wise choices we may shape the path of our destiny. The tarot card of Shin is the day of judgment. This shows the day at the end of time during the apocalypse, when the dead shall rise from the grave and when souls are judged according to their deeds. Wicked souls are drawn down into the eternal punishments of hell. Good souls are taken by the angels up into the harmony of heaven. The day of judgment is the day of consequence. When our actions are accounted for, we are propelled along a path in accord with our deeds. This day at the end of time, or in timeless moments of introspection, comes when we perform ablution and ritual, or when circumstance makes us face the inner reality in severe times of crisis. In the light of the sacred, time stops and we enter the void, ayin. It is in this void that we may look upon our own soul and the actions that issue from it, and be judged by the divine standard, or judge ourselves in the light of all things. As Shin triangulates with Yesod, the day of judgment gains its insight into the flame of the soul through the Archangel Gabriel, whose trumpet decrees the time of awakening. And judgment is passed by Michael with his sword and scales. Indeed, Shin is used as an abbreviation for Shaddai El Chai, the Almighty Living God, the divine name in Yesod. It is through the space of the Last Judgment that we may alter our directions with clear and final decisions according to our convictions, and redeem ourselves by taking responsibility for our actions and their consequences. All actions that lead to finite mortality and limitations of the soul's expression take us to the lower realm of hell, inviting the Klipot to reign. The burning of hell is the resistance to the blessing that Shin may bring upon us, as its jewels of wisdom offer us passage into the sacred realms of the spirit. All actions of redemption liberate the soul from limited mortality into the Ein Sof. Being persistent in following one's penitent actions opens the soul to the Ein Sof Or, and finally frees it from suffering by awakening it to the light of truth and a conscious perspective of wisdom and understanding, Chokmah and Binah. Thus, by our own decisions and actions in life, are we propelled into the fire of Hades or hell, or illuminated within into the divine ore of the heavenly perspective and way of being. Shin literally means tooth or teeth. Thus, by Shin do we bite into life, do we develop belief and awe in the sacred. Those who carefully chew their food are cautious of their actions, as our mind grinds the world through our thoughts to procure the way onward. It is the ability to change for the better. Most creatures bare their teeth to threaten, but mankind bears them in laughter and with a smile. The human mind through Shin has the ability to see the lighter side of life and laugh in the face of all suffering and despair, to manage in a state of ease and to rise above challenges. Shin represents the fire of sacrifice or mystical rites, and the eternal flame that dwells in the holy temple that has the power to lift the soul towards the Creator. Shin rules the shins, the lower legs, as they are the part of the legs that lift us up from the earth, up out of burden, to bear the weight of our soul, to rise. This rising comes as we develop our sense of the sacred, of reverence and awe for the divine in all. Shin is the original primal fire of creation, still innate within the earth, Malkut. It is the beacon of ancestral wisdom and the light of the mind that guides us across the earth and across the time span of each lifetime. And as the light of a fire rises up, so may our souls rise on its yods, as epiphanies or inspirations that gather in our spirit. The primal flame elevates our soul in Atzilut, in a state near to the divine, where we may receive revelations and gnosis. We rise upwards, step by step, towards the eternal being, the divine Ein Sof. It is all that is revealed from an interned self-psychoanalytical process in ablution and ritual. It is the assessment of the soul against the divine standard and natural forces that reassure one's evolutionary momentum, lightening one's load with the Ein Sof Or. Shin is quite simply the lighter side of things in a world that can truly be dark.